Thank you, John. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Vaibhav, for coming here today. This is the really fantastic event, right? This is so cool. But I think we want to kind of start off with the origin story. Where's Batman born? Kind of a thing, right? So I'm going to go with Cameron. To kind of set the stage, Cameron, can you please just give us like an overview of Microsoft's journey, to this stage, right, and its goals moving forward?
Thanks so much, Sherman, and we're so excited to be here. Thanks for taking the time of all of your busy days to meet with us. So yeah, first off, I just want to set the stage and provide a bit of a brief history of the science of AI. And for a lot of people, obviously we're thick in it, but you may not necessarily know kind of the background. I think it's helpful to just understand and create a bit of a level playing field. So AI has been around for a while. It's spanned many decades, beginning back in the 50s when researchers first began to explore the possibility of creating machines that could think like humans. During this early period in the 50s and 60s, AI really focused primarily on symbolic AI, which was involved in creating symbolic representations of knowledge and using them to solve problems. Researchers in the field developed early versions of what are known as expert systems, which really were computer programs that mimic the decision-making abilities of human experts in a specific domain. Obviously, we kind of probably all know this from our science fiction films, but it's interesting nonetheless. Then in the 70s and 80s, AI research really began to shift away from the symbolic AI and towards an area called sub-symbolic AI, which really involves the statistical methods and mathematical models to solve problems, kind of the modern AI. This shift was really driven in part by the realization that symbolic AI was too complex and difficult to scale, and then in part by the development of new computer hardware that, of course, made it possible to process large amounts of data faster. Then, that's kind of sort of what happened in the 80s and supercomputers and that kind of thing. And then in the 90s, AI research continued to evolve and new subfields began to emerge. One of these new subfields was machine learning, which focuses on creating algorithms that allow computers to learn from data without being explicitly programmed. Then, kind of later on, we saw a next wave of major development around another subfield called deep learning. And there was, quite a period of, we kind of feel when we look back, there wasn't much going on, but of course there was a ton going on, obviously, in the background. But this deep learning is a machine learning technique where layers of neural networks, which are mathematical models inspired by the structure of the human brain, are used to process data and make decisions. Since then, and over the last few years, really the major development in AI that we've seen, grow tenfold is generative AI. And that's what we're living in right now. And that's another subfield of AI that focuses on creating systems that can generate new examples, such as images, text, or speech. And they're similar to examples from a given data set. And it's really such a phenomenal situation just because, we're creating content as well. And so these generative models can be classified into two broad categories: the generative models and discriminative models. Generative models such as GPT-3 and DALL-E learn the underlying probability distribution of the data set and can generate new examples from the learned distribution. Whereas discriminative models such as deep neural networks learn to differentiate between different classes or categories and are generally used for tasks such as image or speech recognition.
So many of our attendees are looking for a starting point, right? Vaibhav, could you walk me through how most companies can get AI ready?
Absolutely. First of all, Sherman, I want to set a record straight. Batman was born in Gotham City. We'll set that record straight, right? No conspiracy theories. But one thing that you highlighted in this conversation was very important, which was how many customers are cloud ready and how many customers are currently on cloud. And surprisingly, it's less than 50%. And Gartner says that by 2025, almost 45% of IT spend will be on cloud. So we are still a long way from everybody being on cloud and everybody being AI ready. And this is especially important because we, as well as Gartner, predicts that in 2026, 90 to 95% of applications will have an AI component involved into it. And for customers who would like to have an AI component involved into their infrastructure or their software or whatever they're using, they need to modernize an environment. And we believe that migration to Azure is the true path to AI innovation. And Azure not just helps you maximize your ROI, it gives you unmatched performance and resilience. It's literally 5x times faster than any other cloud. Our cloud security, we have a comprehensive cloud security portfolio, which includes Microsoft Defender, Sentinel, and a lot more products that offer up to 219% on ROI. And finally, with Microsoft, you can be AI ready, and our ROI on Azure AI services is up to 284%. That's huge. And it's not just these numbers, it's not just ROI. Even from a financial perspective, Azure is way ahead of other cloud providers. You can see we did a study in 2022, which clearly showed that having Microsoft Azure, if you're spending 100% on your on-prem in your environment, and if you move the exact same environment to Azure, you save up to 37% in your total costs. So it's not just the ROI, it's also the financial benefits of us helping you move to cloud, modernize your environment, and make sure you are AI ready in your services. So this is all awesome, but how does Microsoft help you get there? And one of the key things that we want to talk about is Azure meets you where you are in your cloud journey. So if you're an existing on-prem company and you want to modernize your entire environment, make it AI ready on day one, we have more than 60 data centers available across the world. We have best-in-class networking, storage, compute, and we have flexible services from PaaS to SaaS. Everything is available that can help you modernize to Azure within a very short time frame.
I think let's pivot a little bit. We're going to bring in John Turk here. John, I think what we want to do is when we talk about AI, right? Microsoft has really integrated the AI into different solutions, such as Copilot, right? As well as offering deployment through Azure. So how does that translate into relevant opportunities for partners, customers, or partners? And then how do you make this differentiation distinction from that?
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks for having us, Sherman. Really exciting topic. We all know that generative AI is kind of having a moment right now. I saw a question in the chat about security, and I'm going to get to that. High level, when you use Azure, your data is your data. We do not train on your data. We have the same level of security concerns that we have with the rest of our Azure platform. And we also make sure that your customers can have the same role-based access controls and security profiles across your environment. So this all applies to it, and you don't have to do any other things. We have a ton of documents. I know that probably wasn't the best answer or most fulfilling. So I'm on docs.microsoft.com, but you can also go in and look for a lot of security. But because generative AI, I'm going to kind of jump back into the partner profitability and a little bit more about kind of what we see as the opportunity. It's such a new technology that a lot of customers are still trying to understand how to use it for their use cases. We know that what's going to sell this technology is business owners deciding that this is going to help them meet their goals and meet their targets, or it's going to help them optimize more efficiently. But we also know that for our partner ecosystem, which I love interacting with, so thanks for having me here again and ask questions, is that we don't really understand. A lot of partners are still trying to understand how it fits into their current business model or what could be done to kind of transition and start selling AI services. The short answer is the opportunity is to help customers adopt AI, what Vaibhav and Cameron were talking about, get customers AI ready, but also start selling these AI solutions either through a Copilot experience or through an Azure OpenAI service, or the tons of other AI services we have on top of Azure OpenAI. So Azure OpenAI is our generative AI solutions, but we have a ton of other through machine learning, cognitive search, machine vision, speech translation, things like that also stack on top of it too in depth on the overview.
That was amazing. And I really like that. And one of the things that we're doing here at the Crancer Group is actually coming up with some what we call them hands-on lab events, right? Immersion experiences. And we've just seen such an interesting, not interesting, but just a wild interest in this. So for our partner base, we actually drive these hands-on labs. We're going to be doing on Copilot. Some of the things that are coming right out to kind of help awareness and then drive those opportunities, to the partner base. So I think there's training, right? There's training on what can be done, the art of the possible. I think there's it's with Copilot, it's easy, right? You're starting it off with easy, but I think there was one other small tweak to this, John. And I don't know if you covered it already. I apologize if you were, but to become a partner, for AI partner. Use Copilot. Those are more of the easier stuff, the M365 stuff. But if you're going to be using it in Azure, that's when you really need to skill up on data, right? Data modernization. I think, would you agree with that assumption?
Absolutely, and I do want to, I completely agree. So if you're making a model that's using some sort of generative AI, just out of the box, no customization, you can use that pretty simple and add that chatbot in. But as soon as you want to make it personal, and I think I'm going to talk about kind of how the evolution of the use cases we've seen, but that's where you need to interact and actually add it to the customer data. Because if you're someone who's selling to customers, you need to add your own information into it. So you need to connect who they're buying, what their profile is, into some of the other information you have on them, so you can really personalize it, and that's only done through your specific data. But one thing I wanted to say quickly is there might be some expectations or assumptions that Copilot is, let's say, the base model, and that's just not true. Copilot is going to be the best solution for a lot of customers because it's a pre-packaged solution in applications that customers are used to using. It already connects with all the Microsoft Graph data, so it's going to be the best solution for a lot of customers. However, if they want to move into the next case where they start to get the predictive analytics and other things, yes, absolutely. That's where we need to start modernizing the data estate, get them AI ready, and then they can start getting some of those additional gains from that.
Right. Okay. All right. So we got one more question. I won't be remiss. Next month we have a night. Next month, actually pull this up. I want you to register for this. We got Jason Hinton from Microsoft coming, and it's a nightmare on Microsoft Incentive Street. He's going to be talking about deep dive into Microsoft funding. So please come to this, because we all know that, you know, there's a lot of different crosses and arrows to how things work. We're going to actually talk about what's important, why it's important, you know, and what things you need to get ready for it. So it's a play on Halloween. It's not really Microsoft's a nightmare. It's just a play on Halloween, but we're going to get Freddie out and we're going to slice and dice it, and we're going to make sure it's great. So